Hi, and welcome to lesson 15 in the Excel for Busy Salespeople. This is how to create a report from what we call 408 reports. Um, in the industry, we get reports from a company called Buddy Marketing that reports our sales. Sometimes we get the reports and they're in the data format we've seen in the earlier examples here, where each line item is an individual transaction. And then for other companies, we get summary reports. And again, in our industry, these are called 408A reports. And when we get the reports, they're formatted um, really like this. So we start off, and each month we will get a report, and it'll just start from the beginning, go across, and then every month it'll just fill out the next column. So we'll go from having zeros here in all the way through there, and then the next month we'll have zeros to here, all the way through the end of the year. So what I basically did was, starting here in column W, I just said, okay, what year is this for? 2014. And then I've got my alias if we were using the alias table here, and our territory, which we get from looking up our zip code here. Um, so all that being said, go down to the bottom of the list here. Um, so all, at the, when 2017 started, you know, 2017 would come from here. We'd just have the January data, the February data, the March. So as that goes along, we'll just repeat this. Now I just have to go to my pivot table. We've already shown how to create the pivot table. We've got our data source selected. Here I've already created a dynamic range called Pivot Table 408 Report. We discussed dynamic ranges back in lesson 10, and this gives me all the data I need. We went through and looked here, so I can change this to 2017. Since I have all 12 months of 17, I don't really have to forecast. So here's my growth chart. You know, am I going to be up or down for each customer? By what percentage? And then you can see the red green colors. So according to this list, I'm going to be down. I'm not terribly concerned since this is all randomly generated data, but that would tell me here that I would plan to close just a little bit down from the previous year. So I'm at 98% of last year's number. So this just brings together the concepts that we've worked on through all of the different exercises, and you can go through and see how these formulas were calculated for every one. So I hope you can see all of the different values and how everything comes together. Also in this one, I did a sales by disty tab. Um, Go through here, pivot table tools, change data source. So I've got my data source, pivot table 408 report. But here, instead of sorting it by customer, I've sorted it by distributor. And then I've used these formulas. So here, again, I created a range called months of data, which is back over here. And since I have 12, it's pretty straightforward. So I can say for each one which distributor and how that distributor stands out. So what distributor is calculated by each number. I could also say which distributor is, by percentage, which distributor is how much of my business. So to calculate that, I can just go in here and says equals. Um, it's going to be the total here divided by, and then I'm going to, if I click there, then it won't change every time. So in this case, I'll just click F5. And of course, I got that backwards, so I should say Control X, put the F5 divided by the total number, and that'll give me a percent, formatted as a percent, so I can say that Allied is 34% of the business total. Put it in the center, drag it down. So here is the percentage that each of these distributors is of my total business. If I wanted to put that in a quick chart, maybe I have meetings coming up with each distributor. It's a little more difficult since the data and the percent isn't right next to each other, but I can do this, and I will say insert a pie chart. Okay, so there's my pie chart, but it's not labeled very well. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to go to add data labels. Let's see, format data labels. Excel charts can be exceptionally finicky. And to go through a whole, there's plenty of really good tutorials on Excel charts, but just for the purposes of this one, I'll go ahead and go through it. So I want to go to select data, and then I'm going to have to add labels. So I want to say, so I'm going to choose here and say edit axis label range, and in this case we went down through, did we go down through? Yeah, through future. So now they show up. There's my label range, and then I can go here and format this. Say I want the series name, or excuse me, the category name, and then choose close, and then I don't need this. So now I have my chart that shows each distributor and what percentage they are. Now, again, since this is a 408 report, this is a 408 report for a specific vendor. So this is just vendor X 408 report. In the larger list, if I had multiple vendors and multiple distributors, I would go here into my pivot table and I would filter, here it's by rep number, but I would go through and filter by principal. And so if I was sitting down and we were having a meeting with the Allied people, I could sit down and sort, okay, Allied, for this principal, you are 28% or 34% or whatever percent of our business. So it helps to have these dynamic reports that are available that you can look at really quickly, because distributors always want to know, where do we stand in the market? How much market is there for us to gain? And it helps you to have more meaningful conversations with them when you sit down. So that's going to wrap it up for 408 reports. Again, that's a very specific report to the distribution and component distribution industry, but hopefully you'll find it helpful. And we're going to come back for our wrapping up towards our last couple of lessons. So the next one is number 16, which is custom maps. So hope to see you soon.